Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Louisville, Kentucky. I am Mappamonte for the NRG series. Getting ready to kick off our semifinals here in just a moment. I wanted to bring Mason and Joe back here with me, and we're going to talk about the top 8 and the top 4 here a little bit. But guys, I got to ask you a question here. So in between the break there, we were able to eat a little bit of pizza, and I had a chicken and waffles pizza. I don't know what your feelings are on that kind of pizza.
Is that a brand, or is that they topped your pizza with more bread? I don't understand.
Maybe Norm can help me out. What was the name of the pizza place? I can't remember. Do you remember the name? Okay, he
So-
doesn't know. Chicken and waffles
Wait,
and some syrup on it.
syrup. And then
I was gonna-
can they hear Norm? Can they hear what Norm's telling us?
No.
So just as Norm, our director, owner of NRG, just says dead face like it's normal. Like, yeah, there's chicken, waffle, syrup on the pizza. What do you mean syrup? What do you mean? No.
Yeah,
I gotta go. I'll talk to y'all later.
No,
all right,
and
Mason.
also,
See you, buddy.
I mean,
It was a good run, Mason. I guess.
you're from Chicago. You should know what good pizza is, and you're putting syrup on it. That doesn't compute.
I'm just gonna tell you
No.
guys, flat honesty, it was an amazing piece of pizza. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Run,
All
right.
Why didn't you
poll.
order
We're gonna
us
mod
some?
in the chat. I want a mod to run in the chat.
Yeah.
A poll. Would you eat that pizza we just talked about? I
You
gotta
would-
know.
Be honest, dude. Don't
And
lie.
be
now.
honest. Don't mean me.
So,
I
so
mean, chicken
we
and
ordered
waffles
pizza,
pizza.
yeah.
You could have. They deliver pizzas all the time. You could have sent Mason and I some to so we could participate.
I will send you guys some chicken and waffles pizza. It's like kind of a running thing we do here in the Energy Series. If you're lucky enough to come to one of our events and you top 8 on the Sunday event, you can see the crazy pizza order that we spend $500 worth of pizza on. It's great. So you can see whatever kind of crazy concoctions we may or may not come up with in your city. All right, well, let's see. Are the players ready, Norm? Have the players ready down here? Because
I
I
hope
got to
so.
stop talking
I
about pizza
love
with
a
these guys.
cheese, pepperoni, and jelly pizza. Matt
Ugh.
Monty
Well,
2022.
Quote me. Put it on the list. I'll eat it on camera.
All
right.
No one wants to watch that.
Sounds like
no,
we're
we're
ready for
recording
the
that.
demo.
All right,
we have
here
we have a
go.
match.
Guys,
Let's
have
go.
fun.
Yeah, all right.
All right.
Connor Mullaly, Christian Valenti. Okay, so Connor Mullaly, our MVP, and Christian Valenti back after what you were saying sounded like a significant break from playing Magic.
Yeah, so it turns out Christian Valenti, I met him about 2 months ago. He used to actually live in the same place I do, Nashville, Tennessee. But he apparently moved right when I started to grind. So we were just 2 grinders passing in the night. And he apparently, as someone used to play a bunch, stopped and just picked up after 8 years and started playing then. Saw him at the RC, qualified there, had a good run there, made really close to qualifying with the Pro Tour, and now is in our top 4. And he is just returned to the game in a force.
All right. Well, opening Thoughtseize here. Thoughtseize is a card that we haven't seen cast so many times on camera today. Connor Mullaly reveals a hand of some mana, Lovestruck Beast, and a Karn, which does hit the bin. So, okay, Lovestruck Beast is great and everything, but if Greasefang does its thing, it's not going to be enough to hold off, especially a Parhelion attacking. So we'll see what Connor's able to find here. All right.
And that's a good rip.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get the heart's desire, but yeah, it's honestly, this is perfect for Christian because he probably had to do the Thoughtseize on 1 with the way his hand's lining up to actually have the combo, but that means the card needs to be there now, not later, and having it get taken now means this matchup gets a lot better. This matchup, sort of just a race, where if Christian is up against Karn, can't do his combo, but if Karn doesn't have it, he is a huge favorite. So right now, Christian is in a really good spot.
Yeah, okay. Lovestruck Beast comes into play. And so there's some decks, and you see Christian pass with open mana there. If you're not familiar with the deck, which, I mean, if some of you aren't Pioneer fans, the mana is kind of scripted here in the ideal draw for the Greasefang deck. You want to play Grisly Salvage or a Conniving Creature on turn 2, and then ideally Greasefang itself on turn 3. So Thoughtseize, okay, wow. So nothing coming out there on turn 2. I'm kind of stunned. No turn 2 play whatsoever.
I wonder if Christian was on like a Molda 6 and kept like Thoughtseize,
Potentially
Greasefang, and like maybe something else and hope to get there.
Yeah. I was going to say, this is not a deck where you often have mana available in turn 2, turn 3. So you're always going to fire off Thoughtseize turn 1 if you have it. And yet here we see that was not the case very much so this time.
Yeah, and Christian looks like he's just going to develop the Greasefang. This will make it so any mill cards we find could go all the way. I see chat talking about our Gruul's vehicle player is still alive. They were playing. She is playing against Mono Blue right now, so that is exciting. But right now we're gonna focus on this match and get that if we can. And yeah, Joe, looking at his hand, I think this is just the only play that makes sense, and it's not like it gets punished. There's no fight spells in the green deck.
No, yeah, you definitely get away with running out Greasefang. It just doesn't happen very often. But now any sort of mill effect, tutor type, find something rare. Oh, wow. So second card comes out here, and, well, Greasefang's never going to get through on the ground to knock the loyalty off of Karn. And so the big thing here, crewing with vehicles, not functional with Karn in play. Torment's Crypt, the Wish, and that goes straight into play. This turned quickly.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about, where Christian was very lucky to have the Karn not there. And if Christian had hit the Parhelion and done the thing with a Grisly Salvage, he would very easily walk across the finish line, even with a Karn still in play now. However, now this Karn's in play, and Connor has opted to grab the Tormod script right away. Christian is in now a super uphill battle where he needs to somehow kill this Karn through a Lovestruck Beast and beat the Tormod script for the turn he does, meaning he has to survive another turn. Connor is in a primo position right now.
Yeah, it's tough to imagine what Christian can even do here. I mean, there's ways to build a board presence. There are plenty of creatures in the Greasefang deck. There's also Esika's Chariot, which can just be hard cast, and even without crowing, make a couple tokens. But that's not going to make inroads against the green Devotion board presence.
Mm-hmm. And I think Christian has a Boseiju.
Yeah.
So that might do something because we can clear the Tormod script before it actually matters.
Mm-hmm.
And so that will be, something.
Yeah, that deals with one of the problems. And in fact, we're going to see it right here. Boseiju at discount because of Greasefang to take out the Tormod script. Connor could sacrifice it here in response, but would rather take the land. Understandably so, as there's nothing relevant in the graveyard right now.
And yeah, it looks like Christian's found a Grisly Salvage. Really wanting to hit, Parhelion, normally the thing you want, but here actually really wanted Esika's Chariot just to get some pressure on board and get those cats.
Yeah, or Sky Sovereign would have been ideal. Mm-hmm. But really anything besides Parhelion, whereas generally Parhelion's what you want. Here it's, anything but that, and that's what's found. So Parhelion coming into play here isn't going to amount to much. Christian may just end up leaving it in the graveyard, but I think this is happening main phase.
I agree. I think he was trying to set up the Sky Sovereign, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Christian only has 2 Sky Sovereign, but in the main deck at least. But still with the amount of cards this deck sees, it is definitely possible for it to happen. Looks like Christian's doing this to hand. This might be a setup for Raffine's Informant, where you can connive away the cards. So just sort of, essentially going up a card for later.
Yeah. All right. So Tormod's Crypt in the graveyard. The line of defense that is Karn still on board, but that is vulnerable to Sky Sovereign. I believe you said there's 2 copies in the deck. So, okay. Christian has some things that can be hoped for. Would this be a potential spot for Stonebrain?
Yeah, the Stonebrain seems really strong to me here. Seems like it's just a spot where you can name Sky Sovereign and go to thing. Looks like Connor's just going to do Shityscape Leveler and just kill the Greasefang. And it's like, look, you have to go through so much. And this is an 8/8. I'm just going to attack you with a 5/5. I have a Lair of the Hydra. I don't know. Figure it out somehow.
Right.
And it's pretty reasonable. Even though Christian is one of the few decks I've seen in Pioneer that can actually use the, the Power Stone to some effect, has a decent number of artifacts in the deck. So, but unfortunately, I think the 6 damage here, putting Christian down to 5, is just too much for him to actually rebuild through a Karn.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, Hardcast Sky Sovereign will kill Karn, but then Christian is just down on the board to, even with multiple, and there it is, Sky Sovereign, and he shows it off. This came off, and it was just a little late. Couple cards higher in the deck, and things might have been different. And Connor Mullaly picks up game 1, doing what he's used to doing, which is winning on the NRG series.
Yeah, our player of the year officially, we had to have that conversation, and winning that game there. And once again, Joe, on the draw, just like we talked about his match against Jesse Robkin, stealing these games in Pioneer are so important when you're the mono green deck. Now you're going to be on the play for your game 3 if it even gets there, and that's so much better when you're a Llanowar Elf deck. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and bring up the deck lists. People in the chat asking questions about the other deck lists in the top 8. They are all available now on MTG Melee. You can find the link in the chat right there. You can look at anyone's deck that was in the tournament, both today and yesterday. But here we have Christian Valenti's Abzan Greasefang deck.
Yeah, looking at the sideboard, you could play Fatal Pushes as a way to sort of interact with the Llanowar Elf draws. When you're on the play, you might not see that. You could argue the same for Duress when it comes to Karn. But for the most part, I actually don't think Christian has too much here in the sideboard outside of Tear Asunder. And maybe you would see Liliana just because the mono green deck sometimes can get overwhelmed with that on the play. However, I don't think this is a situation where that is going to be the case quite often.
Yeah, I mean, this is likely not a grindy matchup for the Greasefang deck, right? He needs to get out ahead and win. So, yeah, I mean, Duress probably makes the most sense. Just get these. I mean, Tear Asunder can kill Karn for 4 mana. That's fine.
Yep.
But
nothing. Tormont script too, so it's got that going for it.
Yeah, nothing. It's not something I'm super excited about though. For Christian's side of things. And then Connor, we've seen his deck list a few times already, but we'll bring it up again as he has.
I know how he sideboards
this camera again. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because when we talk about it,
your predictions.
He brings in the Pithing Needle and he cuts the Sky Sovereign.
Okay.
Because the Pithing Needle, if you have Karn in play, is like the same thing. You just don't need it for any of the cards outside of Boseiju. So you just bring it in and then you just name Parhelion and you just hope that, that's good enough.
Yeah, certainly. Sometimes we do see mono green players boarding in. At the regional championship, I had a green opponent that actually boarded in and drew both Haywire Might and Pithing Needle in one game. So definitely, although it has the reputation of a deck that never sideboards, there are players picking up small edges here and there by making minor tweaks.
Yeah. And the thing about too is the wish board, the idea is to like have this access to everything in game one, all these linear stuff and these fringe things. But if the thing is fringe and the matchup's really like Karn coming down is enough to typically win as it is against the Greasefang deck, then you don't actually need that extra stuff. And you should just put it in there so you have actually more copies of cards that matter. Right. Typically having Karn is like having 4 Haywire Mites or 4 Pithing Needles. But if I have Karn, I don't need those. So I should have more things. And I just think players don't think about that sort of stuff enough. And it separates some players from people like Connor, who is our player of the year. I'm sure he won't get tired hearing that.
No, I would imagine so. All right. So player of the year indeed. But is he the Pioneer 5K champion at NRG Louisville? We will find out.
Yeah.
And I wonder, do players that take 9-year breaks, I mean, pile shuffling is certainly less common now than it was 10 years ago, but Christian made a jump of that time period. So that's still something he does. All right.
It's still something he does. I poked fun at him when we played and he's like, I got to shuffle my deck. And I said, we call it counting these days, So, it is just, it's a thing of a bygone era. I understand that. When I was a kid, I was telling you, I grew up watching the SCG circuit and I kind of understood why Patrick and Cedric would bring up, well, they're pile shuffling again. But I really get it now that it's I have to be here, and so I understand now. And so, I'm thankful that as a community, we've moved past pile counting all the time.
Yes. So am I. Oof. Christian,
by the way,
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, moving past stuff, I don't want to move on here. Connor really wants this trophy. I don't think Connor's ever won a single tournament, like not a team one when it comes to the energy circuit. I know that's something that's like on his list of like things to get done. And so he's got the chance right here. So he really wants this. He's not slacking just because he locked up player of the year and got everything. He is hungry.
No, and that makes sense. I mean, winners like to win. I remember several years ago seeing an interview with Roger Federer, tennis great, and being asked like, do you ever get tired? Do you ever get tired of this? And he's like, no, I don't think you ever get tired of winning.
Yeah.
And no, I get it. And I'm sure Connor, like you're saying, Connor wants to get on board. He wants to join the train, gets to pick up the trophies. All right. We have a Raffine's Informant pitching a Chariot. So a better start for Christian than last game.
Yep. Yeah. And Connor here with a double elf draw, it seems like, along with a triple elf draw. So Connor has 6 mana available to him. I believe he does have Storm the Festival. So, Christian, if he has the Greasefang, will be able to bring it back to the Esika Chariot and Rumble, but the chances of finding a Karn are very high.
Yeah, and a Chariot, I mean, a Chariot attack against green on turn 3, it's not game winning. It might be against some decks, maybe against red, but not here. It's not going to do the job.
100%. And Christian does have the Greasefang, so that's good news for him. And he's going to, get some cats, get 3 cats probably for his trouble and get some pressure, but he's got to keep it up. And ideally he will find something like, a Parhelion or a Sky Sovereign he can loot away or mill over in the next turn and make some big inroads into this game because this sort of thing is just not enough.
All right, here we go. Across for 7 damage.
Yep.
Connor, no interest in blocking with an elf to preserve the life total. He is looking forward to 6 mana next turn.
Yep. And now we get to return this to our hands. Is this is actually a big part of the reason why the Abzan Greasefang deck has solidified itself, Joe, because the Chariot is such a good backup plan and all the times where grinding matters. But in this sort of spot, less important that this is going back to our hand and actually giving you more cats.
All right, so it's going to be Cavalier. Either Connor doesn't have another mana source or is just prioritizing this, and there was the Karn in the graveyard now.
Yeah, there's a lot of debate among mono green players about it looks like Connor didn't have the option to cast Storm the Festival, but there's some amount of debate about okay, do I deploy everything then Storm, or do I Storm first? What is the optimal way to Storm and maximize? And it's really case by case, but I think Connor here just gets this in play, and you actually kind of beat the Parhelion. The Parhelion Angels still get made, but you have a pretty big presence there, so it's just the cats that become a problem at that point.
Well, let's see. If with just the one blocker in play, it can block. It does have reach, so it can block an angel or the Parhelion itself. But we have 9. I think Parhelion is live for the win this turn, even through the Cavalier. So we'll see if Christian can find one for the first time in the match.
Yep.
Well, actually, that's not for the first time in the match. He found plenty last game. They was just not on time.
Yeah, the first well-timed one. Yeah. Christian here having flashback. He's played against this mono green deck a bunch to get here today, looking over his history. He knows how to beat this sort of thing. And it looks like he's taking a tank. He might be having to have a line of okay, how do I set up for the best? What's the most min-max thing? Is Raffine plus Satyr Wayfinder better than doing just hard casting a Chariot? What do I have to do to win this match?
Yeah. Well, certainly hard casting a Chariot doesn't seem... Well, I mean, that would push a decent amount of damage through, but it doesn't seem super exciting. It's not what you register Greasefang to do.
Yeah, you're not... You'd like to get the value when you want it, but not here. And, looks like...
So,
I think Christian has another Raffine's in form. I think that's the choke point here is discarding, okay, what can I draw? And is that actually better than just for sure getting a Chariot in play over multiple turns? Because we're joking about the Chariot, but it will not get to attack again right away. If we bring it back, we get to attack this turn, but on the following turn, we have to wait. So I think he's doing some amount of math in that department.
Certainly making some considerations here. I mean, what other mill cards that could potentially? I mean, if there's Takenuma, I mean that could be used to try and find a mill with Greasefang in play that is castable. I mean, channelable. Is that a word? Channelable?
Maybe. Yeah, channelable. It looks like it is Takenuma, by the way. I think you nailed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here we go. Connor's gonna take a look. What? So maybe we can bring up Takenuma, the black version of the new Channel Lance cycle. Looking for Parhelion or Sky Sovereign. They are not found.
Connor fist bumps the air. Yeah, and this card, I think we talked about it before, the Channel Lands have been such a big addition to all the formats since getting printed, and this one is no exception, even if it's maybe the least impactful in a lot of ways.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so does Greasefang attack?
We have another Greasefang in hand. It might be worth attacking just because you gotta push the damage and hope the future angel is enough. And it looks like Christian does have the extra land too. So since we have no mill 2 or we have the one Raffine's Informant, might be best just to lose your Greasefang here, push an additional 3 damage, and make sure the angel wins on the following turn if you can get it.
All right, so Connor drops to 4.
Yeah.
But this looks like the end of Christian's turn here. And now, okay, Connor, what can you do? We know you've got Storm the Festival. That's by no means a guarantee, but it is pretty strong.
Yeah, as we do see an Old Growth Troll here into a Llanowar Elf. And if you want to get into more Magic, you can always follow this channel to make sure you don't miss anything like our Energy Champs camp, where you'll see Connor here playing against all the players we covered this weekend. By the way, Joe, while I was mentioning that, Connor just made 11 Devotion.
Yeah, 11. It's nice. I mean, it's always cool when you see these creatures that drop effectively for free. And Storm the Festival, hoping for the nuts. And, well, Connor's a big part of it. One got spilled over already, but another one is found here.
Yeah, remember, chat, Connor's life total is also 4, not 13.
Yeah.
That's a big difference here.
Yeah, so it's not just about shutting down the vehicles here this time around. It actually also has to be about surviving the turn.
Yeah, and we joked about hard casting the Chariot versus not. We saw Christian tank on it. If he had hard casted the Chariot, we would be in a spot here where we would have lethal, I believe, because we'd have the 2 extra cats. Crazy how these small decisions ramify.
Yeah. All right, so we have 5 floating. We have how many blockers right now? 4. So you're right. That would be exactly enough. But if Connor can muster another creature onto the board or some sort of defense.
Yeah, you see Connor looking at Transmogrifying Wand. He can turn the 3/2 into a 2/4. Doesn't quite solve the problem.
No, it certainly does not. Yeah, that doesn't seem like the answer. But even a single additional blocker looks like it would force Christian to have to dig deeper.
I agree. Also, you could Restorative Burst, which he's looking at here, and just gain 4 life.
Sure.
That'd be pretty good. Get you another Karn back for your troubles as well. You could Mikestone, Weakstone, I guess, and kill the 3/2. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a big part of this all is just having the Karn. So as long as there's no Sky Sovereign that gets milled over.
Yeah, Sky Sovereign is the best hit, right?
I would think so at this point. It's the only vehicle that could actually attack. And it could also pick off another elf on the way in. So that probably would be enough.
Yeah. Connor also threatening the combo here. He has the Starting Devotion and the Nykthos, and the Cure will allow him to get that in via the Elves, and he will have the win. So Christian has to answer this Karn at least, so that Connor has to develop another Karn before getting to the Devotion math spot, or kill Connor. It looks like Christian's tanking again. Maybe trying to see, okay, can I push through enough damage in the Karn? Can I take this 1 blind mill with the Raffine Informant? Just draw a card and hope to hit the Sky Sovereign. A lot of options going on here.
I mean, he needs a lot here. So let's see. Is Sky Sovereign actually enough? If it is mill Sky Sovereign, cast Greasefang, would that do it? So if Sky Sovereign picked, I guess you wouldn't even, you would kill the Karn. Then when you crew, then you could kill an elf. So that leaves 3 blockers.
Yeah, so that's not lethal because of the 4 life.
Because of the 4 life gain. Yeah, that's right. So that may actually prove to be relevant here.
So the question then becomes, if I kill Karn, can Connor not combo again through me? So remember, you need 8 Devotion with a Kiora and a Karn and Nykthos untapped with the ability to activate to have the win. That's the shortcut. And if we killed those 2 things, Connor has to spend 4 mana redeploying, and has a Devotion of 1, 2, 4, 7, 10, 11 right now. So Connor would be actually exactly there at the Kiora untap, playing both of those and untapping the Nykthos. So Connor is in a really good position here, assuming Christian can't actually just end the game.
Well, evaluating his options again, we saw kind of similar activity last turn, and he ended up deciding to activate Takenuma. Was not rewarded for his efforts, but that doesn't mean it was the wrong choice. And now faced with a similar dilemma this time around.
It looks like we had the Raffine Informant. I think it has to be Raffine Informant.
Yeah.
And then hope Connor, even though you've seen he's our player of the year, you've seen him crush all day, you just have to hope he misses it. He's human and can just make a mistake. Oh, he has Witherbloom Command. That's an interesting thing.
Yeah. That can mill. That can also take 2 points off Connor's life total.
It can also kill an elf too. So that might actually, I mentioned how Connor was exactly there at the Devotion math. If we hit the Sky Sovereign on the mill, I believe that would put Connor 2 mana off of being actually able to combo, which buys Christian another turn.
All right, we're waiting for the modes to be selected here. It is going to be kill an elf.
I have to assume it's a mill as well.
Tear Asunder, Swamp, Rotting Regisaur.
Yeah.
Not what he's looking for. Picks up Takenuma.
Yep. A cool little, everyone always calls it the mill mode, but it does get a land back. We saw this actually, win a Magic Online challenge back when the deck first came out. These cards with Takenuma and Loam. Pretty cool deck.
So if your math is correct, representing what Connor needed devotion wise and everything, then an all-out attack here would force the elf to chump block, which would mean Connor was 2 elves down from where he passed the turn.
I agree. So that probably has to be the play from Christian here. I assume Christian knows the combo or kind of the shortcut to it. A lot of players know that information I just relayed to you, but don't know, all the full steps from there. And that's fine. That's on the green player. So I'm going to assume, Christian getting here and beating enough green players along the way knows that he does need to just all out attack here. Conversely, is Christian dead if Connor just animates a layer of the Hydra for a bunch? I guess he has a blocker now.
All right. The attack did happen. Connor looks like the elf is not going to get involved in blocking.
Yeah, the 4 life, I forgot about it too. We mentioned before, Connor gained the 4, so he actually doesn't need to block with the elf. But this does make it so any angel is lethal off of Parhelion, or more importantly, Sky Sovereign itself would be lethal when crewed up if we're able to kill the Karn. And this should be all she wrote. Connor has 3. He has more than enough devotion. I guess the only thing he's missing is the second Kiora to actually loop, potentially. But should be able to also do the Heart of Kieran loop where he doesn't quite need it. And he has to start with an Old Growth Troll before even activating his Nykthos. So, yeah. A lot of mana here. 13 is the cutoff if you only have 1 of each. And I believe with Connor's devotion count, he has more than 13.
He does. He has more than that. He has 15, I think. So,
yeah. So it gets kind of funky here, but the TLDR for the chat is that Connor can grab a Heart of Kieran as part of his little chain of things he grabs, and that will kill off the Kiora because he will crew it over and over and over again. And then he'll do the normal Cauldron loop thing that we've seen them do in the past. And you need that extra, I believe, 5 mana compared to the first time in order to pay for the Kiora coming back and having to grab herself each time.
All right. Chain Veil acquired and activated.
Looks like so Connor using some floating mana ticked up the Chain Veil and activated it twice with Kiora. So now all his future Kioras have more activations. Grabbed the Cauldron, but I don't think he has enough mana to actually do it the way he did because he didn't grab Heart, but I could be mistaken. There might be another backdoor. Oh, Connor, did he have a Nick? Oh, he played his land for turn already. Never mind.
Yeah, the line was played. I believe the Boseiju was played. There is still Cure activations. I don't see the floating man. I don't see the floating man on the screen. I don't know how much he's working with at this point.
Yeah, same. It seems, and this Karn has 3 activations, which could matter. Something like Haywire Might could come in, but it looks like they're counting and making sure the mana is correct. Maybe also the Chain Veil is a funky card in paper. It's very hard to track how many times something has been used or not used. And we had Woodcutter Automaton. So this Brothers of War Jumpstart card that is in Standard and Pioneer lets you untap a land. That's going to be Nykthos in this situation, and also add 2 devotion to Connor's count. So yeah, when you prototype this, you untap a land and make it big, and Connor's going to make the Nykthos a creature and activate again, and that's probably all she wrote because now Connor's in the same spot we were before, but with Chain Veil giving each future Kiora plus 2 activations already, that will mean Connor can grab that Heart of Kieran, do what I said with the Cauldron that we already put in hand, and then the Kiora goes Nykthos, Nykthos, Chain Veil. That is an infinite loop we have established. We eventually mill you with the Cauldron, and that is all she wrote.
Is that a prototype indicator on the card there? I haven't seen those.
Yeah, I had not seen those either, but I believe that's the case. And if it's not, I believe it to now be our official new one.
Yeah, I haven't played Brothers War Limited in person, so in paper, so I don't know. But that certainly seems like it's an official something or other. And indicating so the Woodcaller Maiden Adds 2 devotion when it's prototyped in. Yeah, untaps land like you said. And yeah, Connor now actions are continuing on here, resetting Chain Veil.
Yeah. Oh, does Connor not have Heart Gear in his deck, and this is why he's doing it this way? Because that might be the case. Yeah, so Connor actually doesn't. I just checked his sideboard. He cut his Heart of Kieran this weekend. So he doesn't have access to that combo. So he's just doing it the long way around of chain veiling to kill his own Kiora, which you can do. It requires more devotion, as we saw here. But now every single one of those future Kioras, I believe, has like 6 or 7 activations. And yeah, Christian's going to pick it up. The green machine stomps on into our finals, Joe.
Is the green machine, is that the deck or is that Connor?
It is both.
Okay.
Connor is the green machine, and it's also the deck.
All right, Connor Mullaly. Well, would be quite a way to crown his qualifying weekend by also winning the event. But we'll see. The other semifinal match is still going, so let's go ahead and move in there and see who's going to face Connor Mullaly in the finals of the NRG Pioneer 5K here in Kentucky this weekend.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. You're jumping down into the match mid here. Dawn and Ryan are in their game 3 and got kind of a complicated board state going on here, Joe.
Yeah, and yet more stuff. No Curious Obsession, no Curiosity type effects for Ryan Kelly. Dawn with a fairly healthy life total. Okay, that Bone Crusher Giant not actually unplayed. So it's just Elves versus Mausoleum Wanderers. So this looks more favorable for Ryan than it initially did.
Yeah, and it looks like Dawn has both Sky Sovereign and Stomp in hand as her 2 cards. Meanwhile, Ryan picked up a Spectral Sailor and has Supreme Phantom. So that's going to be his last 2 cards as he's moving in for an attack for 6 that he can make 8 by flashing in Sailor. We might see him just hold just to, give a growth moment or whatever.
Well, if there is a flash creature here, then it's going to come in very timely here with this Bone Crusher Giant attempting to kill currently a 2/2 Mausoleum Wanderer.
Yeah, Dawn, the trigger might not have been announced well, and maybe the stack was clear, and Ryan, got the trigger miss there. But the Spectral Sailor was saved the day as Dawn gets an attack down for a bunch, and now she does have Sky Sovereign, which kills the Lord, but there might just be enough creatures. Life totals haven't been updated here quite yet, and that was the Carpolusian Forest, I believe, is the name, the Pain Land for red green.
Yeah.
So
all right, well, a land would allow Sky Sovereign to not only kill the Lord, but also be able to block, since the 3 elves could crew it if they're not required to tap to cast it.
Yeah, that is big.
But if that was 8 damage coming through here and the life totals were previously correct, then Dawn would be at 6 right now?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, Dawn drew an Embercleave. Looks like she's brought that in to race as well. She's a Mutavault.
So there's not another land in hand.
Yeah. Tough turn here.
Sky Sovereign's not a blocker. Mutavault comes across and only facing 3 damage. So if it was in fact 6, then it would take a Lord here, maybe, for Ryan to finish things up.
Yeah, and Dawn seems a little far. I think that's the Lord, and that does it. Ryan Kelly with a good draw there. A good finish here for Dawn, getting into our top 4 with the Red Green's Vehicles deck. We talked to her earlier, Joe, while you were taking a little break. Talk about how, this deck is one that people keep saying, it's fine. But Dawn just keeps crushing with it over and over again. And it's like, at what point do we have to have all these great results between Dawn and Magic Online before players finally accept it? And, still an amazing finish here to top 4 the Energy 5K today. So congratulations, Dawn. And we have Ryan Kelly versus Connor in the finals. It's an exciting finals.
How many of our Player of the Year contenders can our championship contenders can Ryan beat in this event? I mean, we saw knocking out Harrison Fang a couple rounds ago, and now with a shot at Connor Mullaly. We'll be back in a minute. We've got the finals upcoming. 1 match remaining in our weekend. Thanks for being with us. Hit the follow button if you're enjoying the content, and Mason and I will be right back.